So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a brand new game from Compass Games, and this one's called Dawn's Early Light, The War of 1812. Comes in a 2-inch box, nice linen finish, which a lot of the newer Compass Games titles have on them. This is a 2-player card-driven game. You can kind of see here, this is a reduction of the map. It's an area movement style game, and there's different unit types, but it's obviously War of 1812, so you'll have, I think there's, it's US based forces, British forces, and then I think there's some Indian forces as well in there. So you'd be trying to set up naval blockades, trying to come down from north to south if you're the British, trying to fend them off if you're the colonials. Well, I guess the Americans at this point. So, let's crack it open, see what we get. I like this period of history, and I don't know, I felt like this box cover, PS, 10 out of 10, I know this is a painting, but I love when they pick good artwork for it. Just look at this little officer who's been wounded. Doesn't it look like someone from the Battle of Waterloo? Well, guess what? That was only 3 years later. But in basically, I'm illustrating that sometimes, because this happened in different continents, and War of 1812 is primarily not something that Europeans talk about, associating those two things together, especially in a chronological timeline, it's always fascinating to me. I'm like, my goodness, it's the same stuff, which is happening in a different region, but you know, the uniforms, equipment, the doctrine was the same. It's just fascinating to me, just to kind of tie those together. So, anyway, enough of my waffling. Now let's get ourselves into the box. So, first thing you can see, we've got a little bag of 4d6, sealed for freshness. So we've got, these are the nice new, I like these ones. I like big dice. And these are the squared off ones. They're rounded, but 2 red, 2 blue. So that's handy dandy. This is interesting. So it looks like we've got kind of a big deck of cards. They were originally split into 2 stacks, and here it looks like we've got them all kind of smashed into one big bag. So let's crack these open, because this is neat. I guess I've just not seen this before. You know, normally they're like wrapping it up in 2 separate decks, but I don't know if they found a new way to package these where it's easier for the printer, maybe. I'm not sure. But these all have the same background on them. They're kind of already mixed, so we'll see. I'm going to try not to mix them any more than they are. 1812. Okay, that's not terrible, because this is a game where the decks are chronological, so you're going to add cards as you go through. So this, you can see here, it says Prelude at the top, and then we've got 1812 cards, and it goes up to 1814. And I think that's as far as, there's some other ones at the back as well. But these go through, looks like those are the only 3 major categorizations. But the back of them, you've got the 2 different flags, because of that neat artwork on the back, and these just, I don't know, that's really nice looking on the back. But the fronts of these, you kind of got this newspaper-esque heading on each of them for the Boston Patriot, Tippecanoe, Henry letters. And so you get these little historical events, but they just give you a game effect, and there's also, looks like an op type value at the top here as well. 2s, 3s, 4s, 1s, looks like 1 to 4. And it looks like there's US based ones, and then there's British based ones as well. I don't know if and then both sides. So that's quite a typical style. It's quite a lot of cards in there. Let's see, what does the back of the box say? There are, does it say 86 cards? A deck of 86 cards, so fairly, you know, that's the kind of card deck you'd expect in a CDG when we're drawing from the same pile like that. Next we've got Rulebook. Rulebook is, let's see, this is card history and explanation. This is an example of play and setup. So, going up, so actual rules, 16.5 pages. And this is actually fairly large text for a war game. Lots of good diagrams, full color, on this nice, fairly glossy rulebook. So that's working out nicely. this should be fairly easy to pick up. The game apparently takes 2 to 3 hours to play, so I think we're looking at something not dissimilar. I'm not saying the game's the same, but this is going to be the same kind of a session as something like Twilight Struggle, where you're going to sit down, play a CDG, takes a couple hours, and then you're done with it. This isn't one that's going to drag on forever, nor is it one that's, you know, super duper short or anything like that. The next thing we have are these 2 play aids. We have an American play aid and we have a British play aid. So that's got, looks like common operations and American operations. So yeah, it looks like these are the same for both players. Obviously just different colors on them. And there's American unique ops and then British ones as well. And on the reverse side, looks like rules reference just for battles and the Indians and how they work within the rule set, which looks like those are identical on that side. That's convenient. Then we've got 2 counter sheets, but really it's only 1.5 sheets of counters, because these are all blank down here. So these ones, we have a bunch of recruits, and you can see these are pre-rounded, and the artwork on them is pretty nice, and these punch out very easily. These are on a really thick grey cardboard. We've got some nice ones over here. So here we've got, these are the regulars for the Brits with some militias. Same with the American forces as well. And then the Indians on top of that. Then we've got some fort markers as well. And on the back, these are, they're, I think that's the same. Is that the same? Yeah, it looks like the same. They're not shaded any differently. So really, not a lot of counters in this one, which makes sense based on the style of game this is, and we'll open up this map here. The map looks really nice, I actually really like this. He says, if I can get it to unfold correctly. So this is a Liberty or Death style vertical map. So you've got Eastern Seaboard basically, all the way from Florida all the way up to the top of Canada at the top. Oh, I don't know if we can squeeze that in. But this is area control, area movement, right? You've got these big areas. So Shawnee, Cherokee, all these different Indian areas. We've got these British aligned red ones and these blue aligned American ones, presumably. These circular areas are the ports and cities. So you go Nashville, Savannah, New York, Montreal, for example. Whereas these are the regions, is what we're going to call them. The rest of the game board is there's a number of tracks with economy, public opinion, diplomacy, victory points. Looks like this is done on a 20-point pendulum, which is nice. Active game markers, probably from special events. Looks like there's a turn markers, prelude, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 turns total. And then halfway through, you add the 1814 cards. And then we've got a couple other holding boxes and tracks for different various blockades. Chesapeake, Southern Coast, New England up here as well. Navy, landing supplies, and then a naval theatre. You've got a couple of tracks which you're probably just trying to affect, which you're probably not committing a ton of pieces to. So I presume we're going to fight the land battles out. The naval stuff's going to be abstracted, which will either provide points or it'll affect economy plus or minus, which is going to help us in the long run, presumably. So, but that's it. That's what's in the game. This is really nice looking. I like a game that's a little clean, but has some nice flavor to it, with just the typeface, the maps. You got all these mountains on here. The way that they do the coastal areas just gives it a bit of flavor to it as well. I enjoy that. We'll have a nice deck of cards. We're going to move some pieces around on the board. Yeah, this is something that I was not expecting and showed up in the mail today. My son came and gave it to me and he was like, "It's so heavy." He's 6. And I was like, what is it? And a big mounted map and the cards in it. So it's got nice production value, which I'm excited to see. Love card-driven games. I don't think... So we played 1812 from the Birth of America series. But I don't know. That's probably where that ends. I don't know if we played like a real 1812 game outside of that one. So I'm interested to play this. Always like a good CDG. So appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Dawn's Early Light from Compass Games. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.